there's not a lot of people. I've always had a slow time in July. Then I began to learn I need to use this for my own holiday, and I need to use this time to develop the systems, to figure out how I'm going to work things, maybe to change my calendar. That's something I do all the time, is I will change my working days. I'll change my calendar around, not the times that I see the clients. Hello and welcome. Mentoring with Geraldine is a bite-sized practitioner podcast for naturopaths, nutritionists, herbalists, and practitioners. This podcast responds directly to your needs, the needs of the practicing natural therapist. With interviews, herbal discussions, something business and something clinical each week, you'll get the variety you need and enjoy to stay motivated in practice. Hello everyone, and welcome to Mentoring with Geraldine and the Bite Size Podcast. How are you? So here we are in the middle of the year. Obviously, if you're listening to this at a different time of year, it's not the middle of the year for you. But if you're listening to it as it comes out, then we're in July and it's starting to get really cold here in the south. It's wet and not very nice. And in the north, it's becoming perfect in Australia. Now, when we think about the middle of the year, there's lots of thoughts come to mind, don't they? So we've got Christmas in July, because for this part of the world, Christmas in July is perfect. It's lovely and cold, and you could actually cook all those lovely warm foods that really don't suit a Christmas here in Australia. But when we think about the middle of the year, what are we planning for? And that's what today's episode is all about, and what I think I'll be banging on about for a little bit moving forward. How do we set up our day? Number one, do you spend time visualizing? Do you spend time journaling? How do you organize and think about the day ahead? What is it that gets you out of bed in the morning? How do you motivate yourself, especially on a cold winter's day? In the north, they're going, oh, it's beautiful here, but some of us, it's cold and wet and damp. And so we need to be able to motivate ourselves. And actually, when the weather's perfect, it's really hard to motivate yourself with work as well, because all you want to do is be on holiday. And in July, many of us are on holiday, and it's fantastic, isn't it? Getting a break, being able to take a step back from our business, being able to think to ourselves, what is it? Where am I moving towards? What do I need to change? And how am I going to change it? Because when we think about moving forward, when we think about what's lying ahead, we do have to think about the sensible things as well. Yes, maybe you're covering your bills and that's fantastic, but are you putting money into your pension fund? Are you going to be able to retire on what you're earning now? Are you remembering to put some aside? Is money going into your mortgage? Is money going into your savings account for holidays? How are you planning your future? There's the really simple, it's not simple at all when you're doing it, is it? But the nitty gritty, I should call it. What is your nitty gritty? Because when we work for ourselves, we don't have holidays. We have holidays, but we don't get paid for those holidays. We have to find the money. If you're not at work, you don't get paid. And then we've got a lot of work on the side running our business, because no business just runs. It's not like going to work and working for somebody else where you do your job and you come home. When we're working for ourselves, we're seeing our clients, then we've got paperwork to do with our clients, then we've got paperwork to do with our business, we've got bills to pay, social media accounts to run, we've got all sorts of things that we have to do. So how is the nitty gritty going in your business? And now, because it's mid-year, or whenever you're listening to it, but I'm assuming that we're in the middle of the year somewhere that you're listening to this, we've got to think about what is it that's moving the dial forward in our business. Where are we going next in our business? Is there something that needs to change? Is it something as simple as your morning routine needs to change to make your day work that little bit better? Or is it something, which is actually quite a big thing really, because if it's your morning routine and it needs to change, then that's change, and all change is difficult. But maybe there's a bigger picture. Maybe you do want a program in practice. Maybe you want the motivation to be able to do these things, to get the support that you need. Maybe it's time for you, yes, to get a mentor, or yes, for you to get a different job to go alongside of this one. Maybe it's time to get rid of a job and change the way you work. Have you nutted out what you have lying ahead? Have you sat down? And one of the things that I do is so those of you that have seen my desk, there's lots of photos of it around on social media and everywhere else. My desk I've got a huge screen, got my camera, then I actually have a buffer now around my microphone, and I've got a shield on my microphone. Then below me, I have a monthly planner. It's actually upside down because I don't use it as a planner. I use it as a desktop so that I've got paper to write on, and I write all over it and I write notes. But on the side of that, I also have pad and paper. So I've got all the electronic ways of keeping notes. I do use the voice memo on my phone a lot to give myself ideas, especially when I'm out walking because I can't stop and write anything down. So I just voice memo it to myself. But when I'm sitting here at my desk, I can see that I've got these other pieces of paper and I can write ideas down. Where am I going? Where am I headed? What is it that I want to talk about in my podcast? What is it that I need to be doing with my clients? Is there something pops into my head about a client and I think, oh, I'll just write that down so that I've got it there. It's not, the to-do list is here on the memo pad below my keypad, but I've got these other pieces of paper so that I can put down ideas. I can think outside the square. So my first program was written on notes like this so that I was able to nut it out because the graduate program starts in August. And so I've spent a lot of time refining the graduate program over time. I've started recording what I've called red flags. So they're very short recordings on red flags so that you can look up what's abdominal pain. What does that mean? What does palpitations mean? Things like that. So that people in my groups can look them up and they'll be part of the graduate program as well. So it'll just be in there so people can find these things. So when you're sitting down there thinking about your clients, what is it that you need that will support yourself and your clients going forward? And that's always something to do with business structure, isn't it? It's always something to do with, do I need help? Maybe I can't afford help right now, but in actual fact, I really need someone to do my books for me. So find out how much is that actually going to cost, because then we can start working towards building that cost into your business. Because a number of these things, we have to know about them in advance, we can plan them, and then we can add them in. A lot of people have been asking recently about which platform, for example, they should use to hold their clients' programs or things that they want their clients to do. This can all be done for free. You don't have to own a platform. You don't have to be on a platform. You don't have to have Kajabi or in my case, Podia. You don't have to do these things. You can keep everything privately on YouTube and send out the link. I use Vimeo just because I find YouTube went through a bit of a phase of being very hard to have private videos, and it was quite difficult to all the background. They just went through this little phase of being difficult. So I went to Vimeo, which was much, much easier to use, much easier to figure out, much faster to do everything. Now YouTube's back being as normal and as easy as it always used to be, but now I have everything on Vimeo, so I use that. So yes, I do pay for Vimeo, but I could totally be on YouTube holding all my videos for free and sending out the links, because you can stop people downloading from there. So where is my business going? What is my bigger picture? Here I am at the middle of the year. I'm going to be moving out of the middle of the year. What about some cleansers for your clients? Because just like you, they're in the middle of winter. They're in the depths of winter. They're probably wanting some lovely, nourishing recipes. But August, September is going to come along, and who isn't sick of a deep, nourishing recipe by September when we're all really wanting salads and lovely light foods? And so we can be responding to these using systems in place that mean that we can repeat our performance. So rinse and repeat. We can be putting things up into social media using Canva and then just changing the background and using it again a year later. Nobody's going to go and look at your Instagram pictures from a year ago. Nobody's got time to scroll that far down. So think about, how can I reuse things? How can I make sure I'm keeping notes for myself so that when I'm motivated, that when I'm inspired, I can quickly and easily grab whatever it is and write those inspirations down so that I can formulate systems to help me we're slower. We're traditionally slower in July. We're not seeing as many clients. Don't be worried if you're not seeing as many clients because everybody's on holiday. So now is a great time for either A, you to go on a holiday, or B, for you to be using this time to formulate plans for what's going to happen when everybody's back from their holiday. It's cold here in the south, so everybody goes skiing or they head north to the warmth. So there's not a lot of people. I've always had a slow time in July. Then I began to learn I need to use this for my own holiday, and I need to use this time to develop the systems to figure out how I'm going to work things, maybe to change my calendar. That's something I do all the time, is I will change my working days. I'll change my calendar around not the times that I see the clients. I have a late night Monday and things like that. So those things have stayed very similar over the years, but other things have changed alongside it. The day that I no longer actually have a specific time to do my finances and my paperwork, because I have a bookkeeper and I have an upload system. So as soon as a bill comes through, I've always paid them immediately. immediately. I've never left them. I pay bills immediately because I shouldn't have bought something if I haven't got the money. So I immediately pay the bill and then I upload the invoice or the receipt, whatever it is, to her. So whereas I used to spend time, I just have them all piled up. Then I would spend time putting them all into an envelope and then I'd have to go to the post office and post it. That all took time that I've saved. I don't need that now. Everything's just online. I send her the pics immediately using an app that we share. So what is it that you can do that can take that next step for you and your business? What is it that you could change up or shake up? What is it that you've gained? Maybe here you are in the middle of the year, sport has changed for your children. So now you have different times available that you didn't have before. They were playing summer sports only and there's hardly any winter sports. So my son was a rower. So we do a lot of rowing in the summer, but actually comparatively little in the winter. So I had more time in the winter because I wasn't driving him as much. As soon as he got his P plates, it was heaven. He could do all his own driving. But do you see the changes that happen with the seasons? They can happen with our business as well. And now it's time to plan as well. What education are you heading into with this new semester? I've got the graduate program opening up. So for part-time, for people with low client numbers and for new graduates to get that business off the ground and get this clinical support as well as business support that you need to get going into business. So what is it that you can be promoting for your clients? What is it that you can be thinking about for yourself? How can you sort those systems and really put yourself out there? Think, this is July. What can I do now that's going to support me going forward? All right. So I'm going to leave you there on those thoughts. Lots to think about today. I'm not going to make a workbook for this one. I'd like you to just sit down and do some journaling. Maybe listen to this again. Think about the ideas, all the things that I've covered. What are you doing in your mornings? How are you setting your desk up so that you can write those notes? How are you leaving yourself messages to do these things? And where are you storing what you have and what you're thinking about doing? Lots of information in Strictly Education and support for you. And you can sign up the wait list for the Graduate Mastery Program as well. So I'm going to leave it there. I hope you have an absolutely brilliant rest of day and I look forward to chatting with you soon. Bye. Thanks so much for joining me today. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast for the weekly episodes. If you'd like even more support and learning, then the Academy is for you. Here you'll find part 2 of the herbal discussions, more clinical learning, and case studies to support your clients in practice. Bye for now.